Welcome back to Beats of the Heart, Lyrics of the Soul. This is part 3 to my Romanticide reaction. I did another video that should be watched before this lyrical breakdown to help you, the viewer, understand where I am coming from when breaking down these lyrics. If you haven't seen it yet, click the top right hand corner of the screen right now and watch it before you watch this video. In this video, I am going to break down the lyrics the best I can to help everyone understand what I see and why I see that within these lyrics. Because it is so blatantly displayed, to me at least. And it isn't to prove anyone wrong, it is to portray a view not seen or thought about before. And hey, I could be wrong, but some of the words used in this song give me hints as to the meaning and how deep it can go. And I think most people are missing these hints, thinking about them in a different way and not seeing them as hints. Let's get to the lyrics. Now these lines would obviously be the humans speaking to God. The first line mentions God, resting my soul, and the second line shows time through eternity, watching the sun rise and fall, never ending through our lifetimes. The last lines can be viewed as the feel, is the present day feeling that the human collective has about God, openly secular. Like Thomas said in this video, not all, but some may say the feeling of God has gone through, say, atheism, different religious thoughts, no agreement about these thoughts, keep us all divided through faith and through what I just said. We feel in a way we can hide our actions from God and not be embarrassed by them. I do see how these lines can be viewed as the feelings of someone in a toxic relationship, in a never-ending darkness, no sun. And the last line, the relationship ending, is the feel, and why you will not see me fail anymore is because we have broken up. I believe Thomas's songwriting is deeper than this though, and more of the God aspect, especially followed by these lines. So I see in these lines reflecting how the human mind views itself as the greatest of all of God's creations. I do see how it could refer to a relationship between two humans also, but if we look at the definition of decadence, a moral or cultural decline as characterized by excessive indulgence in pleasure or luxury. So this could be referring to the relationship in the moral sense, but I still see more of the human collective actions in that definition. And the next line. Now please people, tell me if I am just digging too deep here or do you see something within what I am saying? Eiders are a large sea duck in the genus Somateria. Now this is important to the meaning of these lines in my eyes and should show you how deep Thomas's songwriting goes to needing to research and understand the meaning, and hopefully will help you see how deep these lyrics go and show you why I see this way, because they are this way. Now, the scientific name Somateria and eider is derived from ancient Greek soma for body and arion for wool, referring to the duck's down feathers. The soma part is what is important here. Though it means body, in ancient Greek, the human collective speaking to God saying this makes sense, and the double meaning of the animal's body covered in oil, like in many of the oil spills we have caused. And covered in oil is what us humans are from a thought perspective. Think of this. Everything we do or have today is made of what? Oil. If it is fossil fuels or made using it, which is everything. Plastics, clothing, glass, metal, everything. Everything we have takes oil to make. Even right now, unless everything you are wearing on your soma body is 100% cotton. There are plastic fibers in all of your clothing material. Even 100% cotton takes fossil fuels to transport and make into clothing. So this long explanation is what I think of this one line and how it refers to the human collective speaking to God. I can see how this line could relate to a human relationship, but using the word eider is the clue to this not being so. And the next lines give us. Yes, this could be a reference to a human relationship and one person being smug after it is over. But Thomas is giving us more than that here. After all the previous lines, being the human collective to God, this is where God comes in and says, do you really think you are my greatest creation? You have no clue. Happy hunting, double-faced carnivore. Good luck in my world. And with these lines, I can relate to a time when humans were tribal hunters, which ended when humans discovered agriculture, civilization, then more astute religious pursuits, destroying our connection with the true God of nature we once had. And the next lines give us. Yes, it could be referring to the music as the relationship, and the amen being the end of it, like a prayer. But there's way more. If we look at it philosophically, more like thoughts from the human collective, the music is dead, symbolizes the pure faith and joy singing. And the amen isn't just the end of the prayer, but the end of the human collective, following of the true God, through going from nature, tribal hunters, to civil humans. And the next lines give us. I don't see how this line could be about a human relationship. Most people don't need faith when involved in a relationship. It just doesn't fit. I think this word would be trust if it wasn't referring to God and speaking of a toxic relationship. So in the God theory, so after civilization was created, more advanced forms of writing and language followed, giving us holy books from God, symbolizing the human collective's want and need for faith in God, to create an unreal faith in the minds of humans, to educate minds of all coming generations, and followed by the next lines. By doing these things, we opened our hearts up for sale to good or evil, God or the devil, selling our souls to one faction by our actions and beliefs. Yes, I can see these lines referring to a relationship, but putting the words soul for sale is not needed in this sense. We could say we give our heart and soul to a relationship, but to say it is up for sale, selling your soul to God or the devil, stands out a lot more. And the next lines give us. I think this line is God here, asking this question to the human collective. And it is obvious how this line could, in reference to the relationship theory. And the next lines give us. Now, the leave me be is like God saying, stop making up all these lies about me in these so-called books that I wrote. I don't fulfill prayers or do any of these other things you have written and taught to others about me. So just live the life I gave you and leave me out of it. And yes, it could be a relationship saying, leave me be, but I think we're past that. Tell me, do you guys still see the relationship in these lyrics? And the next lines give us. So yes, obviously these can relate to a relationship, these lines, but I see them more as humans creatively deciding and coming up with what and how God reacts and feels towards our actions. Thinking we know everything about God, what makes him angry, what makes him mad, what makes him sad. We think we know it all. And the next lines give us. And God continuing, speaking here through what I have explained before this. The first two lines is God saying, why do you keep writing these things that aren't true? Trying to tell me how to feel about my creation and their actions. And this line is like God saying, you humans don't understand my creation, so how can you view death as bad or evil and attribute those actions to another being that doesn't exist, the devil? This line is somewhat of God's thoughts to humans saying, how can God exist when there is so much hurt and pain in the world? And the next lines give us. So again, God speaking, leave me be, your ode of lies is killing me. The true and real me in the minds of the human collective. Yes, it could also be viewed as a relationship and the ode of lies, but in contrast to what I've explained with each line, I don't even see this, especially with the lyrics that are coming. Romanticide Yes, this could refer to a toxic relationship ending, with the love still existing on one side and referring to suicide. And yes, the "till love do me part" line can fit also, a play on "till death do us part." And I think that is important, but see this as God still talking. Romanticide is the love relationship that still exists on God's side for the human collective, always, no matter what. And God will forever love everything he has created until it is his time to part from his creation, which would destroy it. And the next lines give us. God's still talking here, and it can't be more evident, so I hope you are starting to see what I am saying. In reference to the relationship, the creations would be the love relationship, and it ending would be ruined by the creation of that love. But this doesn't make any sense saying it this way. And this is the line that originally stood out to me in my reaction and led me down this path of thinking, and are only confirmed more when the lyrics in the song are looked at from this perspective. From everything I have explained with the previous lines, God is not fazed by being ruined by his creation. It does not affect him one bit, because it is the humans that are affected by believing in false gods, idols, multiple different religions. The minds of the human collective have ruined God for themselves. Someone said in the comments, how can God's creation ruin God? I hope that helps you understand what the human collective has done. It's all thoughts that have been passed on, that humans created, but they are not true thoughts. And the next lines give us. Now with these lines here, I didn't look too deep into them, because I could only see the relationship theory between two humans. The dead boy is dead to her. Now the relationship is done, but still alive and having no sense because he doesn't want to be with her. And in alive, but without sense, I can fully find a connection to the God theory I am speaking of, but the dead boy line, I can't place within it. And the next lines give us. I don't see how this would help in the relationship theory unless it was to get pity from the other party. But it is said when having a near-death experience, some see God and realize the true nature of God. Some common reported impressions left by a near-death experience are impressions of being outside of one's physical body, visions of deceased relatives, and religious figures. Many common elements have been reported, although the person's interpretation of these events often correspond with their cultural, philosophical, or religious beliefs of the person actually experiencing them, because those are the thoughts in their mind that have been created and passed down to them over all this time. And the next lines. These two lines I can definitely relate to the relationship theory, but when they're followed by the next lines, I just do not see it. And the next lines. I can relate these lines much more to the thought of the heart being bold and turning to stone as being the corruption of the human thoughts about God through everything explained about the lyrics. And who would that be attributed to? The corrupting of thoughts of God in the human mind. That would be the devil completing perfectly his message from hell to corrupt human minds away from God. And the next lines give us. The lines wine turns to water, which we know was an act of Jesus turning water to wine, symbolizes a reversal of those actions, a reversal of following God. In the next line. Now the line "campfires freeze" brings to mind the thought of the world freezing over, as the light of the world is destroyed, symbolizing the light as the sun, which was also viewed as God in the far past. These lyrics also symbolize a reversal, like the wine turns to water line, saying that the fires freeze and love letters burn. I can relate these vague lyrics to the relationship theory also, but it would take a long explanation. And I can also somewhat see the campfires going out as the fires of hell going out and starting up on Earth. Now, in the relationship sense, the second line doesn't exactly fit with the feelings expressed in the other lyrics. If looking at them this way, but looking at the romance, love between God and the human mind, the second line can make more sense. Now, the next 4 lines are the lines that I believe are getting into the devil's voice in my theory about God. Only the last 2 lines can fit with the relationship theory in my mind. Now, like I said before in my explanation, when I am speaking of God and the devil, I am not speaking of anything you are thinking of. Now, when I say this word devil speaking, understand the devil is a non-existent entity that humans have created in our minds and attribute all evil to. And what we attribute to evil is just our misunderstanding of God's plan, and human minds confused and following the non-existent devil. So the devil speaking here is really God speaking in a negative sense to the human collective. The first line refers to human vices, which seem to go against religious beliefs, but the satisfaction we get is very enjoyable. So we will happily cause ourselves temporary pain and live through the eternal shame. And the chess game metaphor, the game is not the devil's chess game. The metaphor comes from early philosophical thoughts and is always supplied with God and the devil taking turns making moves, controlling everything on the chessboard of Earth. Calling it the devil's chess game confirms what I have been explaining, that the romance love humans had for God is no longer, and now the devil is winning the game. The non-vague meaning of the chess game line cannot be attributed to a relationship between 2 humans if looked at. In contrast to the other lyrics, it doesn't seem like the same relationship. And the next lines give us. So sentiments from the devil, an angry God coming off as negative, or evil as thoughts from the devil, for allowing the devil to overcome his power in our minds in the chess game, could be about a relationship. But again, it doesn't contrast with the lyrics. I have said so much here. I hope people have stuck around to hear my thoughts, and I don't want to make this video longer than it already is. But I hope I have explained myself so you can see and understand why I view these lyrics in the way I do, and not just as a simple relationship between 2 humans that was toxic. Those were my first thoughts after reading the title before hearing the song, and also why I believe everyone thinks this song is about a relationship. It is the headline on the newspaper, but if you dig deep into the story within the newspaper, you will see so much more knowledge built in of encompassing all time. In my eyes, the evidence of my God theory is way more prominent in the lyrics than the relationship theory. But hey, I can be wrong as to Thomas's true sentiments when writing the song, but I don't think we can deny that God's sentiments are in there. So if by a double meaning or through the creation of a masterpiece, Thomas gave us those sentiments, because they are truly ingrained within every human mind and subconscious, like I have been saying, and as Thomas was saying in the openly secular video. And I don't think the song is as simple as the title explains alone. And we all know Nightwish's music goes much deeper than that. But those are just my thoughts. Let me know what you all think in the comments. Tell me if I'm crazy, or if I'm just digging too deep into it and seeing things that aren't there. Or tell me how I have changed this song for you, and you see the light and everything in between. And you know I will be back as the beats of our heart and the lyrics of our soul play on forever. Thank you for watching. Bye.